Today, you're going to hear a modern day fairy tale. I'm not kidding. This is an incredible story. You will meet Jose Rolon, who is at NYC Gay Dad on Instagram, and he is going to share with you a story that is mind blowing. He started from grief and loss and so much difficulty, and now has an amazing life and amazing success. So I'm not going to say too much. Let's roll the tape. Welcome to Building Your Family. This is a podcast about donor conception, surrogacy, fertility treatment, and all the ways that modern families built. My name is Lisa Schumann. I'm a researcher and author, and I'm here to talk to you today about family building in a way that is really miraculous. We have Jose Rolon on with us, and I'm so delighted to see him. I always feel like I know people well, just seeing them on social media. But of course, you don't meet in person, but we finally met in person, and he said yes, he'd be on our podcast. And I'm so delighted to have him because I think so much of what he shares today is going to help so many of you. So welcome, Jose. I'm not going to give away anything. I'd love you to tell your story.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for having me. And when you asked me, it was an easy yes, because I think what you're doing is pretty amazing. So
Thank you.
thanks for having me. Yeah. Where to begin? So I started to, my husband and I at the time, back in 2010, we decided after a couple of years of being married that we wanted to start a family. And we did. We decided we wanted to go through the surrogacy journey. I think at the time, there was sort of a question. There's always this debate whether if you can do adoption or surrogacy. And at the time, we decided to do surrogacy because with adoption, oftentimes the LGBTQ plus community tends to be in the back of the line when it comes to adoption. And I know that that's changed and it has improved over the last several years. But at the time, we thought surrogacy was our best option. And also, I had lost my parents many years ago and I grew up as an only child. And so the idea of surrogacy and passing things on seemed to be, the more attractive thing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we got an egg donor, just like, going through this beautiful, wonderful Sears catalog. And we found this incredible Brazilian egg donor. Then the next step was to find a surrogate. And we had gone through Circle's surrogacy out in Boston. They seem to be the best fit, Circle agency. They seem to be the best fit for us. And we had one surrogate, fell through for medical reasons on their end. And then we found this incredible one named Natasha down south in Arizona. And we decided to do a little shake and bake and put in 2 embryo sites. So one had my husband's DNA and one had mine. And we just went for it. And so got pregnant the first time. Our son was born. As soon as he was born, I saw how white he was. So it was very clear who won that shake and bake contest. And it was really wonderful, like for the first 8 months. And my husband, Tim, he initially, when we first met, he said he did not want to have children. He said he was too selfish. And he also said, I remember a line where he's like, I just don't want to share you. And over the few years, he got there on his own, and he was the one that actually bought up the idea of starting a family, which is amazing. Wow. So then to see him with our son was really magical. Like for me, I always knew I wanted to be a dad. So for me, instinct kicked in, or I should say, it all felt very natural because it's something that I just wanted to be. And with Tim, it was sort of this explosion of his senses, and he really loved being a dad, almost to the point where like he would almost say to me, like he'd want me to stay asleep in the morning so that he can have that one-on-one time with him in the morning before going off to work. So when Avery was 2 months old, he came out of the bedroom with Avery in his arms, and he's like, "Babe, you know what I'm thinking?" And I was like, "Pizza or Chinese?" Thinking about takeout. And he's like, "No, I think we should have more kids." And I'm like, "What?"
Wow.
And we decided to go for it. And then this time there wasn't going to be a contest. I was like, "You're out of the game this time. I'm putting, it's all me this time."
Yes.
And at 10 weeks old, that's when we found out that it was twins. And I couldn't believe it because our intention was always to first just to have one. And then we knew we definitely didn't want to have 3. So we were just going to go for two. So when we found out it was twins, it was a bit shocking. He was calmer than I was. Then the following week, he went away on a business trip, and I was at a Christmas wedding event. And so if you could understand the juxtaposition that's about to happen. So I'm at this Christmas event.
And you're a wedding planner.
I'm a wedding planner, yes.
Yes.
And so so, you had the candy, we were hanging up candy canes. There was, a hot cocoa station. Mariah
Mm.
Carey was playing in the background naturally, as one would during Christmas. And I hadn't heard from my husband all day, and I was getting really, really worried. And I had finally got a call from the Pennsylvania PD that he had passed away
Oh
unexpectedly
my God.
in his sleep the night before. And it was a heart attack. It was not something he was aware of before. As you can imagine, it was, I remember collapsing on the floor, and people in the wedding industry had to drag me out of this event. And
Mm.
on top of, dealing with the grieving, my immediate thought was, oh my God, we're pregnant with twins. And
Yeah.
at 12 weeks in Arizona, at least, you can't make the decision beyond 12 weeks whether you're going to keep it or not. Once you hit 12 weeks, that's it. You're following through. And we were at the 11-week mark. And
Oh my
for
gosh.
me, I was very clear at that moment that I was going to abort, because I thought, who am I to raise three kids on my own? It just seemed crazy financially, emotionally, all the
Yeah.
things. And what followed was 6 days later, which was the very last day I could let the clinic know. We were with California Fertility Clinic out in California. And I woke up. It happened to be the day of Tim's funeral. And it was still dark out. I was sitting at the edge of the bed, and I thought, my son just lost his father. And as someone who knows this all too well,
Yeah.
what if something were to happen to me? I didn't want to leave him alone in this world. So not only did I decide in that moment to follow through the pregnancy, but I actually announced that we were pregnant while giving my husband's eulogy.
Oh my
Nobody knew we were
gosh.
pregnant. Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Oh,
and I thought that was the moment to proclaim that, to put that out there, because first I knew once I put it out there, I would need to follow through. But the other thing was, in a church full of 300, 400 people, I have no idea how many people were at the time, but that was a moment for me to ask for as many prayers and support and love as possible.
mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and here we are 10 years later. And
Oh my
that is
gosh.
exactly,
Such chills.
yeah. And 10 years later, we're here, and we're striving, we're thriving, we're doing all fun things. And, I think a lot of people were aware of our story, but it wasn't until the pandemic hit that we started doing a bunch of crazy and silly videos, and some of them had gone viral. And I try to do everything with a sense of humor. And so once some things went viral, it's just like anything, when people want to do a deeper dive on who maybe this individual is. And so people knew I was a single dad, but nobody knew how I became a single dad. Like, was he married to a wife? Is he divorced? Did he decide to do this on his own? And so I finally put out a video saying that, I am a widower and this is what happened. And I think at the time of Black Lives Matter and COVID, I think the media really needed to hold on to a positive story. And I checked off a lot of boxes for the media. So from being Latinx, LGBTQ plus, being a single dad, we just sort of went on this media blitz of, being on Ellen's Game of Games, Today Show, Good Morning America. We were on the cover of
Wow.
Parents Latina magazine, which made me the first gay dad to ever be on their cover, which was wild.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so the last 4 years we have just been, we've on top of, being a wedding planner, we have a family business. And it's really just helping other brands promote what they're doing. I speak across the country about grieving, and the tools that has helped me along the way, and hopefully inspire others to do the same whenever a tragedy strikes, whether if it's death or a divorce or, even moving jobs.
Hmm.
can come with some tragedy. So that's a bit of
Wow.
a long intro story, but that's
Oof.
kind of that's a nutshell in the big picture.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. And then
Yeah.
Thomas entered your life also.
Yeah, yeah. I met Thomas a little over a year and a half ago. So we initially matched on Hinge March 2020, and we chatted for a little while, but it was March 2020. And like most of us entrepreneurs, we were, stricken with triple duty who are also parents. We had a parent, homeschool, and try to make our businesses survive. So we just reared off and kind of forgot about each other until Christmas of 2022. On Christmas Day, we matched again on Hinge again. And so
Wow.
we thought maybe this is something that we should pay
Meant to
attention
be.
to. Meant to be, yeah. And so here we are, and he lives with us, and my kids love him, and he's obsessed with my kids, and it's been
Mm,
really this really beautiful courtship between all five of us,
mm.
and yeah, here we are, and now we're leaving. We're going to be leaving tomorrow to go see his family for the second time down in South Carolina.
Oh, how nice. What a
Yeah,
beautiful story. This is like, it's like a modern day fairy tale, Jose. It's really incredible, amazing. And since, everything kind of exploded for you, you went to the White House, you met the president, you've been, when I saw you at the Family Equality Council, you were giving a
yeah,
talk and you've been lecturing around the country and you're going to the
yeah.
DNC. And I mean, you're, a celebrity all over the place. And it's amazing how this just kind of developed without you even knowing it.
Gosh, I don't know why you saying all those things out loud is it's giving me goosebumps. It also has me emotional for some reason because you're saying things like the DNC and the White House, and I find it overwhelming to hear out loud just because I think all we wanted to do is just, do some silly, funny videos. And it was really honestly for selfish reasons, just to keep my own sanity. And, just the fact that we are 4 years later from starting these silly videos, that we are being invited to the White House. And, my kids got to meet Biden, and he got to chat with my kids. And I met Kamala Harris at a separate event. I met Dr.
It's
Joe Biden at
amazing.
a separate event. And Buttigieg, I just met him at the Pride event this year. It was our second year being at the White House. And it takes a while to sort of get used to that beyond these videos that we make, there's something bigger outside of what's going on in your home. And it's only when somebody says these things out loud and being, the fact that we are going to the DNC is it just kind of puts some of it in perspective that we're on the right track. I think, I mentioned this when we got an award at the Live Out Loud event. And one of the stories I told was we met this woman who stopped us in the subway. Again, it's been 4 years since we started these videos. And this is just this year. We were on the subway. I was with my daughter, Lila. I like to do one-on-one time with them. And so we were going to the movies, and this black woman came up to us, young black woman, beautiful, who said like, "Hey, you're NYC gay dad, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And you never know what's going to happen next. And she's like, "You guys got us through a lot. You got me through a lot during the pandemic, and particularly around Black Lives Matter," which is why I was, qualifying it, letting you know that she was this young black woman, and how a few years later she's now, with a woman who she loves and she cares about,
Mm,
and how
mm.
she can't wait to marry her and start a family. And of course, that was the
Oh.
moment I did interject and let her know I was a wedding planner too. But the
That's
reason I
great.
saw it feels a little bit maybe braggadocious. I don't know, but the reason I share that is because my daughter was there, and it's so good. It was I'm really emotional today for some reason, but it was a great moment for my daughter to witness. We do get stopped every now and then, but it's those moments that means so much because it's showing my kids, not from my perspective, not from their uncles and aunts. It's like this complete stranger walking up to us, saying that our family somehow made a difference in their lives. And with
Mm,
so much going on, with all the LGBTQ plus anti-trans laws that are trying to be passed, and my kids are getting older, so they're hearing a lot of other things from outside places. And that moment was great for her to know that we are doing the right thing, and we are putting positive things out in the world. And we will continue to do it because of women like this woman who came up to us to share what of an impact we've been having.
That's incredible. My name is Lisa Schumann. I'm a therapist, a researcher, an author, and I am passionate about helping people find a better journey to parenthood. I created the Center for Family Building to help people understand how to make decisions, not just for the short term, but for a lifetime. We have group counseling, individual counseling, couples counseling, and lots of other services that can help people find the answers that they're looking for. Just take a look at our website so you can see a few of the thousands of people we helped build a better path to parenthood. The decisions you make are too important to leave up to chance. Arm yourself with the right information. Take a look at our website and sign up for a session with one of our therapists, join one of our groups, or access one of our programs, and you will quickly see why our strategies are so effective. Now back to our episode. And I must say that when you say we, and for those of you
Yeah.
who don't know Jose, his kids are amazing, and so is Thomas. Take nothing away from Thomas. But, we talk very often on this podcast and in my practice about being able to have children who can both feel kind of like everybody else and kind of normal and like their, sneakers are the same as their friends' sneakers, and everybody's has the same family story. Everybody comes from a sperm, an egg, and a uterus. So we're all the same, but we all have differences, and that we need to be able to tolerate difference, and we need to be able to embrace it and all of that. And your kids are really incredible at that. It's just so amazing. I think anybody out there who doesn't know Jose, you've got to see his kids because they really embrace their life. They embrace the difference. You did a very cute skit about telling them that you were straight. And they made all these jokes about it, and it was hysterical. But it's so amazing that they really feel so comfortable with every part of their family. And there's nothing that they feel uncomfortable about or ashamed of or in any way concerned about how people will feel that used a sperm donor, used a gestational carrier. This is how they came into the world. They really seem to get that.
Yeah, thank you for all of that. And I think it certainly helped that when we started doing the videos during the pandemic, they were like 5 and 6. So they were pretty malleable, right? They were like game up to do anything, which in turn made me do the most silliest and craziest things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the truth is like, I'm a Gen Xer, right? And so, we've all grown up with all of those movies and TV shows where, the adult child finds out or the teenager finds out that they were adopted, and there was this shame and this secret. And
Yes.
it's this big like moment. And although my kids were not adopted, they were through surrogacy. It's sort of like the same thing of like, you know, keeping a secret on how you were, how you came to be. And so I knew pretty early on that I would always be honest with them, and from as early as they can remember, and always that was age appropriate. And so, they've always just have known what they've known, and there's been never a secret about anything. It's like now that they're 11 and 10, over the last few years, I've asked them like, do you ever feel do you ever feel like you're missing out on anything, or do you ever wish you had a mom, for example? and
Mm-hmm.
and their answer is always no. And it's because for them it's like, well, they don't there's nothing that's missing for them. Now I think maybe as they get older, or there might be some sort of curiosity of, oh, I wonder maybe what it would be like
Who's
to
that
have
person?
who's that, yeah,
Oh.
or curious about what it would be like if we had a mom. But
Mm.
there will never be this feeling of feeling like they missed out on something, or that something was wrong, or because I think that I've done my best to make sure that they feel fulfilled in all areas, and be fully aware that they've been loved and cared for by not just me, but we've had a nanny, we had a night nurse when the girls were born, and they have so many aunts and uncles. And I have to say, I really do think that is one of the benefits of being, in the LGBTQ plus community, especially in a city like New York, because we're all transplants mostly, right? It's very few of
Mm-hmm.
us
Mm-hmm.
have been like born and raised here. And so we tend to move out here for other opportunities. And because we're tend to be in the creative world. And so moving here in 99 just allowed me to really have my own chosen family. And they're the same, like my 8 core friends. I have many beautiful, wonderful people in my life, but the 8 core are the same 8 friends that I met back in between 99 and 2001. And
Wow.
those are all the aunts and uncles that are still in my life and in the kids' lives. And they just got back today from being at Uncle Ronnie and Uncle Dave's place, and they had the best time.
And they're not genetically related.
No,
Yes.
nobody that every person that they hold dear to them out of all their aunts and uncles. And I do have blood related aunt family in Massachusetts, but the people that are connected with them on a very regular, consistent basis, none of them are blood related. But for them, they don't know the
Wow.
difference. Yeah,
That's beautiful. That is
yeah.
so beautiful. Really beautiful. And I think really a testament to what people worry about so much. They think, well, if I build my family differently than my parents did, I'm going to raise kids who are going to feel insecure. Or I'm going to raise kids who are going to hate me because they're going to say, why did you use a donor or what have you? And to be able to create the family that you choose as your family for your children, people who you want to be in your children's life, is really an ideal circumstance. And it sounds like they're so happy and well adjusted.
Yeah, I like to think so. And look, I mean, time will tell, right? They're about to flow into their little preteen era, and I'm gonna have three
Mm-hmm.
teenagers in this house, and who knows how that'll all turn out. But just doing the best that I can now, and we're really not that different from any other families. That's something that I always like to express too. Like I always say, maybe we're a little bit more colorful than our straight
Mm-hmm. Of
counterparts, but we go through the same struggles as everybody else.
course. Yeah, of
We struggle to get our kids out the door, and and
course.
as now I'm thinking about them being teenagers soon, it's like I'm dreading it, just like
Of
every parent
course.
is.
Of
And who
course.
knows what will happen there. But what feels good to me is that I'd like to think that I've approached my children in a way that they would feel comfortable coming to me about anything.
That's wonderful.
I've let them know that they can share, tell me anything, that I will not judge them, but I will always be their sounding board. I don't want to be their best friends. I don't want to be this overly strict, overbearing parent. I want them to always look back and say that I was fair.
Mm-hmm.
And, that is just making sure that they can always come to me about anything at all. And I see it in my son Avery. He tells me things that I think are probably, you know, a little inappropriate, or things that
Hmm.
I'm like, maybe he didn't need to share that much, or there are things that he's talking to his friends about, but
He feels comfortable.
he feels comfortable with that. And and I think most people would be like, might school him or clock him for saying something that maybe may not be right. But it's like, I'm doing it solely because I want, when he's a teenager and older, to know that he can come to me about
Anything.
anything.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, that's an ideal circumstance, right? I mean,
It's
that's,
ideal. Let's see. It's
yeah.
ideal though. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because we're all going to have those bumps in life. And if you can be your child's ally in their self discovery, that's everything, right? I mean, that's really what anyone can ask for.
Also, too, I mean, it's important to also continue to have that strong support system around you too, because there might be that moment where like they're not comfortable telling me something, but they'll be
Mm.
like, all right, but I have Uncle Ryan, maybe I can chat with him,
Ah,
because I know he'll give me good advice. Or I could go to my aunt Christine, and she'll maybe lessen the blow. Or so I think making sure that your kids know that they have these other people that they can go to if they need to is also there too.
Jose, that's so amazing. What you're saying is because we all, grow up in this society that puts such a strong pressure and connection to genetics. And when you create your own chosen family, you can choose the values and influences that you want your children to see in their aunts and uncles, in those people. And so they do have these other people to go to because they don't just reflect your genetics, they reflect your values. And so you
That's
feel
right.
comfortable, right? Them going to this person rather than maybe, your Aunt Sarah who wouldn't feel comfortable talking about their surrogate or, whoever it might be.
That's right.
It's fantastic. It's wonderful. So, speaking of your surrogate and your donor,
Mm.
did you have a good relationship with them? Do you know your donor? Are you in touch with your surrogate? What is the story there if you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah. So when we chose our egg donor, when she had applied to be an egg donor, she was open and, to have an open relationship, right? But by the time we chose her, she had just had a baby and she had just gotten married not that long before. And so I think, that's very common that when egg donors, I think when they become parents themselves or get married, there's a sense of wanting to protect their family. And I think, so
Mm-hmm.
we learned in the
Mm-hmm.
middle of choosing her that she wanted to close the relationship, which initially was a little sad for us,
Yeah.
but we also respected that too. And I can totally see why, she had mentioned that her husband also is not comfortable knowing that his wife has these children out there with her DNA. And I totally get that. And so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I respect that. And we, continue to move forward because we still thought she was the best choice based on several factors. There was no open relationship there. And since then, we did contact Circle Surrogacy, not long after my husband passed away. We did tell the agency to see if maybe the egg donor would be interested in reopening that
Mm-hmm.
relationship. And she was aware that I became a widower. And she had, sent us a really sweet message about that, but that she
Oh.
at this time did not want to open up the relationship. And I respect that again. But the condition there was when she initially told us that she did not want it to be open is that she would have to get in touch with us. The two things we put in there was if she comes down with any sort of genetic illnesses or if she comes down with breast cancer, anything like that, she would be required to let us know. And then the second thing was just to know that we're always here and we're always open. So if she ever wants to get in touch with us, she absolutely can. With our surrogate, it's always been open, and my kids have FaceTimed with her. Her name is
Oh.
Natasha. She lived in Arizona. She's now, wait, I'm sorry, Valdosta, Georgia. I may have said Arizona in the beginning. That's where she lives now. But Valdosta, Georgia is where she was and where the kids were born. And she was a rock star. I mean, it's interesting. Like in our country, abortion is such a big debate, right? And
Yes. Yes.
very much every time we do consider where we're thinking about women and not too much about men, right? Because it's women that are carrying the children. But what was really interesting about my case is that I had the choice of aborting or not when Tim passed away. It wasn't even up to Natasha. And she was
Mm-hmm.
aware of that. And so I was struck with that very difficult and challenging decision. And our surrogate, I can say, is someone who is conservative, and I knew where her mind stood in terms of whether I should keep the twins or not. She never shared that with me, but I know her, and she had said to me very respectfully, "I respect whatever decision you make. I'm not in your shoes." And obviously, as you know, I made the decision to follow through. And I remember when I made that decision, I felt her relief, and she was very
Mm.
very
Mm-hmm.
very happy about that and thought I made the right choice. And she's just been this remarkable woman ever since. She came up when Tim, for the funeral, and
Oh, wow.
her husband's amazing. He even gave this beautiful speech. He's a Marine, and he gave this beautiful coin to our family after Tim passed away. And they're just such a beautiful, and they
Mm.
have children. They have 4 kids, and so
Wow.
they're just the most remarkable family, and I will always owe her big time. And my kids will always be indebted to how she is, to
Mm.
who she is, and we were just texting like last week, and so we try to stay in touch as much as we can. Not as much as we'd like to, but we do. We are still connecting very much.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah,
So nice. And did she carry both pregnancies?
yeah, she did. Yeah, yeah. So,
Wow. Oh
yep,
my gosh.
she carried. So she already had 2 boys of her own. Then she carried my son Avery, and she was a one and done. Also, like she's like this is really wonderful, but I don't necessarily need to do it again. And when Tim was entertaining it, we thought we would have to find another surrogate. And she actually reached out to us even before we had told anybody we were doing it. She's like, just so you know, I think I might be willing. I would think I would do this again. And so we're like, you're kidding,
Wow.
because we actually think we want to do it again. She's a rock star. And then she had more kids after our three. So it's
Wow.
it's wild.
Incredible.
Yeah, and I think she was like 27 or 28 by the time she had all the kids. Like, so she really is a rock star.
That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, it's so nice that your kids also know who she is and they feel comfortable with their story and they feel comfortable with her. And that's great. That's so fantastic. Really beautiful, Jose. Really beautiful.
thank you.
And what about donor siblings? Have you ever considered looking to see if there are any donor related siblings?
I have to say, this is such a wild thing that you're asking me right now, because it's never really crossed my mind. But you have me thinking about it now,
Oh, maybe we
and
should turn off the podcast.
no, this is really wonderful.
Yeah.
This is really wonderful, because I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if, okay, we know that there's a closed relationship with the egg donor, but then are we allowed to know if there are any other siblings out there that are open? I don't know the answer to that. And guess what? I'm going to have to get back to you on that. And because that, I
Mm-hmm.
am sort of curious about that. And if there is a possibility we could know that information,
Yes, you can.
I would definitely go for it. And I think that it'd be fun for the kids to be, curious or intrigued by it. It's just, the rule is they can't know who that donor is.
Yes, and if they're donor-related siblings out there or cousins or other people who are genetically related to them, you can find them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you want help, you can call me later and we can discuss it for
Amazing.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help you. Yeah, and it's so lovely that you're so open to all of these possibilities, Jose. It's like you're so full of compassion and love. You're just, exuding this like feeling that, the more love the better, the more warmth the better. We're up for it all, which is so fantastic.
Yeah, I think as much as you can be open, that you just have more of a stronger support system and resources at your disposal, right? I have to say something
Mhm.
I do like to share with people, something that I've noticed in my journey is that I'm not taking away how difficult my story has been, or, the challenges I've had. But I think over the last 10 years, I've also noticed this big, there's such a double standard between being a single dad and a single mom, where, like,
Yes.
I think
Mhm.
that for me, it's so much easier. It was so much easier for me to have a support system, because I think that as a man, people automatically assume I don't know what I'm doing. And,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I would play that up.
Mhm.
Often joke, my family in the beginning, they were like, oh, mira, no sabe, he don't know how to put on a diaper. Look at him. And I'd be like, you know what? You're right. I don't know how to put on a diaper. Please help
Right.
me.
You could do it.
Right. But with women, it's different. With women, it's like, there's so much societal pressure that gets put on them, and they're always expected to know what they're supposed to be doing. And there is a thing as motherly instinct. That's something I don't have. And I think women get really caught up with their pride and a bit of ego, and because they don't want people to see their own crazy, their own, see them yelling or see that their house is a mess. And I think that's the fault of society, of, again, them always expected to just know what they should be doing. And women, I think, unfortunately, carry a lot of can carry shame with that if they screw up. And I always tell women in the audience when I speak on stage, I'm like, oh my god, let them see you're crazy, let them see your messy house, let them see that you
Mhm.
yelling. Because I
Mhm.
think that,
Mhm.
like, the more, if anybody asks you if you need anything, don't say no, I'm good, it's okay. Like, pull out that to-do list with a smile and say thank you.
Yes.
And I think for me, I've never been shy about that. And part of it is being a man. I think I'm like, I don't have any shame around it. It's so much easier for me to ask for help. And so when I've seen how much support and love that I've gotten, and I see how much of a double standard where women don't get enough love and support, I try to encourage that as much as possible.
That's fascinating. Yes, it's so true, Jose. You're so right. But you did raise 3 kids by yourself. It's pretty tremendous. I mean, no matter what gender you are.
No, but so many single mothers have raised three kids on their own, right? So I have a friend,
Yeah.
her name, oh, she's not a, she's, so my kids were at Uncle Ryan's house, and Uncle Ryan's sister, I think it's okay that I'm saying this, but she's a single mom of three, and I'm a single father of three. Now, let's put both of us up on Tinder, okay? Her as a single mom of three, she's seen as a pariah. She's seen as there's something wrong with her. She needs emotional
Mm.
help. She must be broke. X, Y, it just the list goes on and on. And all her title just
Yes.
says single mother of three. Me, all mine says a single father of three. It's, oh my God, that's so hot. That's so sexy. He must be rich. He must be holding it down. And it could be the complete opposite. I could be the emotional wreck, and I could be the one that, like, is struggling, and
Right.
she could be the CEO of whatever and doesn't need financial support, and she's killing it,
Yes.
but there's
Yes.
this
Yes.
societal thing that puts mom in such a interesting position that, so I'm not taking away at all what I've done, but single moms of, I get happy Mother's Day on Mother's Day. Single mothers do not get happy Father's Day on Mother's Day. So, like, that's like a perfect example of like how it's such a
Hmm.
double standard.
It's so true. It's so true. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. So anyone who's a single mom to be out there, you are seen, you are heard,
Oh my
you're
God, yes.
validated. It's so true. It's absolutely so true. We have to change so many things. And fortunately, you're going to help us do that. You're going to the DNC and you're going to
Yeah.
help us change the world in the right direction, keep moving
Oh
forward
gosh,
in a
yeah.
positive way. Well, we really appreciate everything that you do, Jose. I can't thank you enough for coming on here. And where can people reach out to you, or what would you like to tell people? Because I think this has been such a beautiful modern day fairy tale, and you've shared so much wisdom with us. What else do we need to know, and where can people find you?
NYC gay dad across the board on
Hmm.
TikTok, on Instagram, Twitter, just at NYC gay dad. And then I have a new podcast that's going to be coming out in the next couple months
Oh,
called,
wow.
yeah, it's called Love Take Two. And it's basically having conversations with people that are very much in their take two moment, but they wouldn't be in their take two moment if it wasn't for the take one being a fail, or whether if it's at love or success, or whatever it is. I want to hear people in their take two moment, but as a result of something from the past that got them there that wasn't so much a success. So that will be coming out. We have some really
Wow.
wonderful guests, Billy Porter, and yeah, it's going to be really, really awesome, and I'm excited to get that launched.
Oh my goodness, that's so exciting. And will we be able to see it across the platforms or on YouTube
100%.
or
Yeah, I'll be blowing that up for
Mhm.
sure.
Terrific. All right. Well, we will be eager to see it. I can't wait to see it. And thank you again so much. And hopefully, we'll have you back here soon. We can maybe do a double episode once you're up and running and we can hear how things are going for you and your beautiful family. But I really appreciate all you do, Jose. And thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for everything you're doing too. Let's keep it going.
Okay, will do. And thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there for us. And please, if you like this episode, subscribe because that's how we keep going. And I will see you next week. Hi, it's Lisa Schumann. I hope that you enjoyed that video and I hope it helped you. And if it did, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe because that's how we keep going. It's really important to us. And if you liked it, you might like this one.